Good evening. Today is the Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Finance Authority regular meeting agenda. It is 6:30 p.m. Today is Wednesday, October 6th, 2021. We're meeting here at the City of Calexico, Fernando Nene Torres Council Chambers, located at 608 Heber Avenue in Calexico. Call to order. Due to the declaration of emergency, this meeting is being held pursuant to the authorization for the governor's executive orders. Some or all the city council members may participate in this meeting by teleconference or as authorized by executive order N29-20 issued by Governor of California on March 17, 2020. Pursuant to Imperial County Public Health Department guidelines, city council meetings are now open to public attendance at 100% capacity of the council chambers, and all persons entering City Hall will be required to wear a face mask. Public participation will continue to be available in the following ways. Members of the public are encouraged to watch the meeting via live stream at http communityspectrum.org live at 6:30 p.m. or via the Calexico City Hall Facebook page at https://www.facebook.com City of Calexico CA. Members of the public will be able to make public comments in the following ways. In person, submit public comments via email by 2 p.m. on Wednesday, October 6th, 2021 to our city clerk at ggarcia@calexicoca.gov or via fax at 760-768-2103. These comments will be read aloud during the meeting. And now I will now do the roll call. Javier Moreno, Mayor here. Camilo Garcia, Mayor Pro Tem.
Here.
Raul Ureña, Council Member.
Here.
Gloria Guadalupe Romo, Council
Here.
Member. Rosa Arreola Fernandez.
Here.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Sure. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Sure. Thank you.
City of Calexico mission statement. Together we
Pledge to provide effective communication services in a courteous and respectful manner to improve the quality of life for all in our unique border community. Viva Calexico.
Thank you, Chief Gerardo. Please remain standing. We have an invocation by Pastor Alex Vivanco, Seventh-day Adventist Church of Calexico. Please.
Holy, holy is your name, Lord. We thank you because you're a God of order, and as you're a God of order, we come here as a city of Calexico asking for your wisdom, your protection, as you have been with us and all the city council and the mayor to be guiding us through this pandemic. We thank you because through it all, you've been giving them wisdom, and I ask you for the same thing to do as this meeting goes on, that you keep blessing them and their families, protect them, and protect the city of Calexico. Lord, I ask you to just be with us and be in this meeting. We ask you this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Vivanco. Please have a seat. Our next item is the approval of the agenda. I also have one item number 9 to be pulled from the agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve with the exception of item number 9.
Okay, anybody second that?
So move.
So moved by
Second.
Councilman. All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Thank you, motion carried. And we have presentations. Presentation number 1 was originally intended by Mr. Ramon Castro. However, I just got notified earlier today, he is not going to be here, but he wishes to speak before the city council on the next regular council meeting. So we'll go ahead and honor that. And then we have item number 2, update on Imperial County travel trailers, presented by Mayor Javier Moreno. The update on that is that we're still looking at some particulars with the title. Mr. Figueroa, correct me if I'm wrong on that, and they're still working their way up to DMV.
As part of the obligation that we have under the agreement with the County of Imperial, currently right now, we're working hand in hand with county staff members to address some issues that have come about in making the change of registration to the city. That is where we stand right now, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Figueroa. That's the update on that. Just item number 3, the Farm Worker Service Center update. I believe there was a meeting today, Mr. Figueroa, where the orthopedic clinic representative had come over and I believe there's a signed lease agreement already with Dr. Quelada, correct?
The purpose of the meeting today was for the representatives to meet with my finance director and my planning and building services director so we could guide them through the process that they need to undertake to address some matters related to business license and permits that they're going to require.
Sure, thank you. Also, to piggyback up little on that, there's other moving parts, some legal ramifications that need to be addressed, budget, everything else with that contract, everything else with the MOU with the Catholic Charity, who had originally raised the hand to help out with this program. So before I would like to bring it to the City Council for further discussion and potential approval, because there's also moving parts, and I'm sure my cohorts here have a lot of questions to ask, and we're gonna reserve that for that day so we can finally formalize it with us here and move forward with that. So that's pretty much an update. We're just waiting for that to occur, and then we'll bring it up here for discussion and approval. That's my update. So moving on to item number 4, bi-weekly COVID update presentation.
Good evening, City Council, Honorable Mayor, and the staff that's present, and of course, like always, our customers and citizens of Calexico. That was a quick number 4 for presentations. Thought I had a couple more minutes. When it comes, as far as the COVID updates, we're kind of at a standstill in COVID in the sense of not much has really changed or happening. One of the newest things that happened since we last met is that California is the first state to actually require vaccinations for its students from 7 years old to, I'm sorry, from 7th grade to 12th grade. Once the FDA fully approves the medication, the vaccine, we'll be the first state to actually start doing that. As far as the numbers for Calexico, we have a total of 8,014 that have had COVID. Active right now, we have 155, which is quite a little bit of a jump from the last time that we met. Obviously, always at 238 deaths with that. We're doing here at the fire stations, we're doing a big push on helping the homeless people get their vaccination. A lot of these people do want to get the vaccinations. Unfortunately, they don't have the right. So we're working with some of the nonprofits and local taxis to see if we can get these people to the vaccination sites. There's some here in the town, they just don't know about it, so we're informing them about this. And I think that's all I got for your COVID-19 update. I'll take any questions if you have any.
Chief, any updates on the booster shots? I know that, Pfizer is already approved. What do we stand on Moderna and anything else like that?
So right now, the booster is still being provided to those with a compromised immune system, those in that parameters of high health risk. It's not being pushed as a booster for somebody healthy yet.
Mm-hmm.
They're not there yet, so it should be soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions from anybody else? I'm sorry?
Incident for the spouse?
Oh, okay. So I was approached by Councilman Romo right before the start, and she just wanted a quick update or briefing on the fires that we've been having on in town.
Councilwoman Romo, do you mind if we bring that item up a little down.
And you're-
The reason for that is because there's actually a joint statement that's going to be made.
Okay, okay, no problem. Thank you.
Perfect, okay.
Perfect, okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next item is the announcements. These proceedings may be viewed on the City of Calexico website at www.calexicoca.gov the Friday following the City Council meeting. Community office hours with Mayor Moreno will be held by appointment. Please contact the City Clerk's office at 760-768-2102 to schedule an appointment. And as an update on that, I continue to meet with people at the office. I don't have nothing else to report on that. The next items, public comments and public appearances. Note, not to exceed 3 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the City Council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. However, if the item you wish to comment on is a consent item, please comment now. During the current state of emergency, public comments will be received in the following ways. 1, in-person comments. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphones, please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. Submit public comments via email by 2 p.m. on Wednesday, October 6, 2021, to our city clerk at ggarcia@calexicoca.gov or via fax to 760-768-2103. Any comments received during or after the meeting will be distributed to the City Council and retained for the official record. The City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Now, I understand there were no comments submitted via the email or through our website, but I do have two public comments, and we are going to go first with Ms. Giselle Mendoza from the Imperial County Valley's Small Business Bureau. Thank you.
I'm going to remove my mask just because sometimes you guys can't hear me. Giselle Mendoza, Calexico resident. I'm here representing the Imperial Valley Small Business Development Center. The purpose of being here today is to ask City of Calexico and Council to see if there's any way that you are willing to partner up with our center and the Consulado de Mexico in conjunction with you guys for an event for a business fair here at City Hall on November 9th. We are trying to bring awareness through the Ventanilla de Asesoría Financiera along with our center services programs, and then we would like to bring in a few financial institutions and local lenders to make the community aware, along with some of the programs that I believe you guys will be discussing today. So I just wanted to come in and see if you guys were willing to consider that date, and hopefully somebody can reach out to me in concerns to it. So I don't know if you guys have any questions for me.
City Council Mayor, if I may, I will follow up on this request
Okay.
so we can assist as needed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Norma Vega.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Mi nombre es Norma Vega, vivo en 1104 David Navarro. Mi presencia aquí es porque, pues últimamente se han suscitado muchos incendios aquí en la ciudad. Uno de esos incendios, pues desgraciadamente, pasa por la casa de mi hijo. Gracias. Aquí yo creo que el departamento de policía no me va a dejar mentir. Ellos han estado frecuentemente dando vueltas a todos esos incendios. Estoy hablando exclusivamente ahorita de un punto, es la calle Sheridan y la calle Roosevelt. Es la calle que está, o sea, del parque hacia las vías del tren. Ahí es un nido de vagos, de gente indeseable. Yo hice un recorrido ahí por lo que es las vías del tren. Hay muchos matorrales en donde hay ropa tendida. Entonces, pues quisiera que tomaran manos en pues que hicieran algo, pues. ¿Por qué? Porque pues ponen en peligro la vida de la gente. Ese pues, es por un lado, ¿verdad? Que pues a mí se me hace muy importante porque toda la noche está dando vuelta a la patrulla, toda la noche estamos dando vuelta a los vecinos. Yo no vivo ahí, pero es casa de mi hijo, pero pues me preocupa. Bueno, esa es una situación. La otra situación es que yo siempre he participado en los ejercicios de la comunidad y este año nos dejaron sin presupuesto. Yo quisiera saber qué pasó. Sé que una parte la pone la ciudad, otra parte la pone el Heffernan Memorial y el Heffernan Memorial nos dejó pues, casi sin nada. O sea, se acabaron los programas. No hay programas para adultos mayores y pues los ejercicios, las actividades que teníamos, ahora se redujo a cero. Y quisiera también pues que tomaran en cuenta esa situación. Pero que dieran solución, no nomás que me escuchen. Porque si ustedes ya hicieron el presupuesto del año que viene y no lo incluyeron, que lo incluyan. Porque ahorita pues ya estamos en octubre, me imagino que ya se presentaron el presupuesto del siguiente año. Entonces, pues que no nos reduzcan estos programas. ¿Por qué? Porque esto nos da salud, nos da bienestar, nos da confort y pues y los ocupamos. Muchas gracias, espero y tener respuesta de ustedes en las dos cosas. Eso de los incendios es muy peligroso y lo otro es en gran beneficio para la salud de todos.
Señora Vega, si me permite,
Sí.
le pido nada más si nos pudiera esperar unos minutos. Ahorita en el siguiente tema vamos a hablar acerca del primer punto que usted tocó. El segundo tema, yo personalmente le voy a hacer una llamada telefónica para ver el segundo tema que nos vino a traer el día de hoy.
Ok, muy amable, gracias. Buenas noches.
Muchas gracias por su comentario, señora Vega. The next person is Dania Vega.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Dania Vega, soy parte del comité y vengo representando a la Liga de Calexico Parents Athletic. Estamos muy preocupados porque no contamos con parques para los niños que hagan su actividad. Tenemos más de 1,300 jóvenes activos en nuestro programa y hoy estoy aquí para pedirles si nos pueden agendar en la próxima junta porque es muy preocupante los parques que tenemos para nuestra comunidad, ya que contamos con todo el valle y todo el valle viene a jugar aquí a Calexico. Entonces se los agradecería mucho. Muchas gracias por su apoyo y espero respuesta. Buen día.
Gracias. Next person is Carmen Estrada.
Buenas noches. Precisamente yo soy fundadora y presidente de la Liga de Calexico Parents Athletic Association y al mismo tiempo soy comisionada de parques, que hasta ahorita tenemos bastante tiempo que no hacemos una junta de parques y la verdad necesitamos una junta porque es una emergencia que tenemos, la cual tal vez ustedes no la vean, pero es preocupante lo que está pasando. No tenemos ningún parque y tenemos 1,300 niños en nuestra liga. Tenemos equipos de Arizona, Yuma, Phoenix, San Diego, Real Madrid, que nos está pidiendo que nos unamos a ellos. ¿Por qué? Porque ve el número de niños que tenemos y ellos pueden jalar dinero por medio de ellos para ayudar a nuestro programa. En lo personal, mi comité no quiere eso, pero si no tenemos ayuda de aquí, podemos caer ahí. ¿Por qué? Porque los que nos preocupan son los niños. Yo tengo 26 años de experiencia en lo que estamos haciendo y es verídico lo que decimos. Les podemos dar documentos de cada uno de los niños, de lo que tenemos. Aparte, Los niños que cumplen 18 años, ya pagamos por tener la actividad que tengo. Ahorita tenemos 400 jóvenes activos de 18 en adelante, que si ustedes pasan por los parques, son nuestros niños, que eran chiquitos, cuando era Calexico Park, ahorita ya son unos jóvenes, que es ella, y ya tienen sus hijos en la liga. Entonces, por favor, estoy muy preocupada porque no tenemos parque, pero ustedes tienen un terreno que nos los pueden prestar y trabajamos en conjunto, todas las organizaciones, para llevar un parque verdadero. La verdad, no estoy aquí nomás por hablar, quiero que tomamos acción, porque muy pronto pueden cerrarnos los parques y no va a haber solución. Y ahorita les advierto lo que puede pasar. Queremos que nos presten, ya no da. Y pagamos aparte que pagamos, invertimos dinero de los papás. Acabamos de mandar cortar las palmas, fueron $850 que sale el dinero de los papás. Creo que el tiempo es muy corto para que ustedes sepan todo lo que hacemos. Hay veces no tenemos nada y andamos ahí pidiendo, no dinero, material. Ahorita el campo donde pagamos no sirve y nosotros lo nivelamos, le damos el mantenimiento, árboles. El proyecto de la luz fue la organización Calexico que la trajo. Ahora el IID ya no quiere ayudar. Señor Estrada, vamos a ayudar, pero para los niños no a la ciudad. Y yo he parado que ellos vengan a hablar y pararse aquí, porque no es justo que duramos 2 meses haciendo ese proyecto de la luz, que fue el IID, la Unión de Electricistas Mano de Obra y un ingeniero que nos regaló. Hemos trabajado mucho para que se nos cobre. Ahorita ya todo el mundo quiere venir aquí a decir lo que yo estoy diciendo. Yo soy representante, pero queremos que nos pongan en la agenda para que ya vengan todos nuestros niños y los papás y exhiban lo que hacemos. Nuestra organización, el IID, nos donó $10,000, pero llevamos los biles y ellos directamente pagaban. Yo ahorita quiero darle gracias a Chalo, porque él fue una parte muy importante para Calexico PAL, el cual cerraron ese programa por envidias e injusticias. Y estoy aquí con el corazón que lo tengo roto ahorita porque todo puede caer. Gloria, por favor, tomen cartas en el asunto de lo que está pasando. Gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias, Carmen.
Gracias, Carmen. Anybody else? No? Okay, thank you. Now we have the city manager report.
Yes, Mayor, City Council. I want to start off by, I have a couple of items to share. The first one is, in recent days, the Calexico Arts Council, represented by Ms. Carmen Durazo, the city of Calexico, and the Bloomberg Foundation, we all had a virtual meeting in which we discussed and updated all parties on the status of the Rockwood Plaza Promenade project, which we've discussed at length in this forum. My Public Works Admin Manager, Ms. Liliana Falomir, was there. She gave us an up-to-date news as it pertains to the information we're getting from the Southern California Association of Governments, SCAG, who is the agency that we received the grant from. We provided an update to all parties on the timeline that we're moving forward with, given that we now have a consultant that was selected through a procurement process by SCAG, which will be tasked with facilitating the project here in Calexico and the other projects that were awarded throughout California. The Bloomberg Foundation was appreciative of the update, especially now that we have a tangible date that we're going to be following as it pertains to the expectation as to when the asphalt art project is going to get implemented. And at this moment, that is our priority, that we keep and we stick to the location that was selected in the proposal that was submitted and that eventually got an award in the amount of $25,000. I want to thank all parties that were involved, and I think everybody right now is in sync as to what to expect and when it's going to happen. The other item that I wish to talk on was, I believe that everybody that was able to attend the League of California Cities Conference will give their own report as to what we lived, what we experienced. For me, as a city manager, it was welcoming to once again, after 2 years, catch up with colleagues of mine from other cities. There were several sessions that we participated in that not only allowed us to get an up-to-date understanding on the policy making process that's taking place in Sacramento right now and how it's going to impact municipalities, especially through COVID, opportunities that are out there that we can tap into, especially as it pertains to community services. But the most important thing here that I take from this trip is that we had the opportunity as a delegation that went for the first time together to experience the benefits of attending a conference like this, along with the other cities in Imperial County. We were able also to honor the annual presidency of the California League of Cities of the mayor from north of Calexico, Ms. Cheryl Viejas Walker, which that was something that I think everybody that attended from Imperial County took a lot of pride in, that we were represented by her as president of this important association for 1 year. So on my end, it was rewarding, and it's very positive for me to come back and be able to disseminate and share with my staff some of the items that we can take advantage of that are out there. I also want to point out that being congruent with the city council and the business items that are enacted here, the finance director, the planning and building director, our building official, all along with HDL, specifically with the Deputy Director of Compliance Services from HDL, which is the firm that we hired to assist us with the compliance portion of the cannabis industry in Calexico. We had our first set of inspections. I had the opportunity after the inspections were done to meet up with the representatives of HDL, and the next steps is that they're going to be putting together a list of recommendations, a list of items that are going to be provided to each of our commercial cannabis businesses in Calexico that they visited. I do want to point out that the message was, this is what we're going to do to assist your business to make sure that it's in full compliance. It's one of the first steps that the City Council took to make sure that the cannabis industry in this city is properly regulated. So it's important for us to follow up and share this with the community so they know that not only the action items that this council takes are done, but they're being followed through on. So we can come back. And at some point, I do want to point out, at some point, we can also have our third-party service provider, HDL, conduct a formal presentation so we can all learn about the process that they follow and what they do when they go do their inspections. The last item that I do want to bring up is something that it was brought up right now by Ms. Vega, a resident here in our community, related to something that we've been experiencing in our city. That has been unfortunate. However, it's important for me as the city manager to make sure that the community knows that the city is working to address these incidents that have created uncertainty within our community, to say the least. So with that, I do want to point out that there has been a lot of work done by the city manager's office, the Calexico Police Department, and the Calexico Fire Department to address this matter. And for that, today I requested Calexico Police Chief Gonzalo Gerardo to come and share with our community and with our council what's been transpiring on behalf of the city to address this issue.
Good evening, Honorable City Council. Ladies and gentlemen, señora, lo voy a decir en español, muy buenas noches. Y en el tema de esto, de lo que está pasando con los incendios, es algo que estamos tomando muy seriamente nosotros. Como usted dijo, que ha visto mucho más patrullaje en esos lados, pero también estamos trabajando con diferentes otros recursos que tenemos con otras agencias estatales que los están apoyando, tratando de obtener la información usando los modos que ellos usan, pues, con personas que están en la calle y que les reportan más o menos quiénes son los que están haciendo. Uno de lo que está pasando también es que hoy salí yo también con ellos y nos dimos cuenta con el sargento Ceja y su equipo que las personas que son indigentes están también bien enojados porque ellos sienten que le estamos poniendo mucha presión para tratar de corregir este problema. Entonces ellos al mismo tiempo los prometieron que los iban a ayudar a darles la información quiénes son las personas o la persona que está haciendo los incendios en esa área. Más o menos estoy trabajando con el jefe de bomberos también y con unos negocios ahí porque los van a dejar, lo van a asistir con los que ellos puedan. No lo quiero decir mucho porque pues, muchas de esas personas tienen tienen teléfonos y miran las juntas y no quiero darle el plan que tenemos de acción, pero sí lo estamos tomando muy en serio. Mis oficiales, para nosotros es una cachetada cada vez que llega a pasar algo así. Porque se están burlando no nomás de nosotros, pues de toda la comunidad y está poniendo a la comunidad en riesgo y no queremos que no le va a pasar algo malo a una persona. De que pasó esto no hemos podido, pues yo no puedo dormir, me levanto, lo primero que hago a las 5 o 6 de la mañana le hablo a mi sargento y le digo, ¿hubo incendios hoy? Sí, 1, 2, o no. Entonces estamos al tanto de lo que está pasando. So English now. So in English, it's a lot easier for me to say is that we are working together with other agencies in the valley. So we use false multipliers. For anybody who's been in law enforcement, is that we can reach out to each other. There's task forces out there. We're using, they're using their people, and we're trying to find out who is causing these fires. It might be one person, it might be two people, but you know, it's very. We know they might be in the area because every time that we're there, after they set a fire, they disappear pretty quick. So it's got to be somebody that lives around the area or hides very well. We are onto them, and I hope that they don't take it as a challenge, but we will get them. Working with the fire department, we're working with other businesses to see if they can help us because there's a lot of cameras out there. So we're trying to monitor the area. The homeless people are actually very upset because you know, we're going up to them and asking these questions, and they don't want to be blamed for something like this. Like I said totally before, I repeated it again, the homeless people are not bad people. And so they're out there actually going to help us, and I offered a reward out of my pocket that if they give me the person, that I would pay them. Just, you know, I need this solved. And my officers are working very hard. You know, Sergeant Ceja, myself, we went out there with his team, and everybody. Sergeant Orozco's team's working nights. Sergeant Acuña's team's working nights. Sergeant Marcus. I mean, the whole shift is our priorities right now. Is we take care of calls, we take care of business, but any little chance they get, they're out there trying to find out who's doing this.
And more staff employed.
Yes. So my whole thing is, you got to get creative. So you don't want to spend a lot of money in overtime, but we have to at times. But by me asking for other agencies to come in and help me, I don't have to pay their overtime, and it's part of the help of the agreement, mutual agreement that we have set up with some of these agencies. So, like I said, I mean, it's one of the things is that we need to continue to have is the great working relationships we have with our federal, state, and local partners, because they're doing it to help us because we help them. And that's the way it is in the law enforcement community and the fire community, is that whenever they need help, we're there. Whenever we need help, they're here. They're actually working with us to try to solve this. So I want to thank you for this.
Aside from that, I just want to compliment that I have instructed our planning and building services director, for which code enforcement falls under, to be, to say the least, proactive in addressing other elements that may be enabling the individual or individuals doing these practices, to kind of take away from them a lot of the things that they've been, from what we know, what they've been using to ignite some of these fires. So on that front, I also want to make sure that we are clear that we're being more stringent on the code enforcement side because of the obvious that we know some of these individuals are using. Fire Chief Avila, there is also something you were going to share with us.
Yes, I think it's very important to speak about one of the most important components of trying to stop these fires, right? And that's community involvement. If you are driving by and you see somebody suspicious, you've heard of something suspicious, please call either the fire department or the police department, because these are how we've caught the previous arsonists, right? So no matter what you see, it may be small to you, but it may be the clue that we were looking for. So I ask the community to please be involved as well and help us together. I feel like we're very close to catching this person. So if you see a mysterious car, if you see the same person in the same area a lot of the times, if you have a door ring, that would help. We just recently had a neighbor in the area, or in one of the areas, share their ring video with us. We're close, we're very close, and that's the part that I want to mention, is that make sure that we get the community involved, and no matter how minor it is, it could, like I said, really be the clue that we were looking for.
Let me add this. I mean, if you want to remain anonymous, I mean, I know that my dispatchers will ask you, or our dispatchers will ask you for your name. You don't have to leave your name or number, where you're calling. You can just say, hey, this is a suspicious subject. Give us a good description of what he's wearing, what direction he's going to. Another thing that I do ask, and we've asked the victims of this and people around, is try to remember, if you happen to fall victim to this, who you saw, who you kicked out of your property, if there was any confrontation with anyone that might be a homeless person or anybody at this point, somebody in a gang or something that you upset, and they're coming back and doing this, setting these fires deliberately in areas that are specific. I mean, they're targeting the specific areas. They're not just lighting fires to light fires. One of the things that Lily, we can probably do is tomorrow I'll take a drive by over there where Señora Vega said, behind this brush, see if there's out there, and I'll send you an email. That way we can probably kick people out, because they'll go and hide there. We won't be able to see them. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Dígame. Okay.
They don't have enough street lights in that area.
Ya el comentario lo hemos tomado y lo vamos a ver. Okay. Mayor, that concludes my city manager's report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Figueroa.
I did have a question about
You do? Go ahead.
just a quick question about the fires for Police Chief Gerardo. So there's been multiple incidents. It seems like there's a more recent one that is under investigation. Not commenting on the one that's on investigation in general, are these people, are we talking about homeless families that are using makeshift stoves, mental health problems, or is it some purposeful criminal arsonist that is out there? What exactly is going on, and what are they using to start these fires?
So I'm trying to be real careful here, and this is what I'm going to say, is that the person that's setting this fire is deliberately setting the fires. And afterwards, I can brief you, because I think at this point, if we give you a little bit too much, then it might hinder our investigation. But I'm more than willing to talk to each council member if you want to, and tell you what exactly we're looking for.
That would be excellent.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And I was just gonna reference the same thing, that we gotta be really cautious of what we're putting out there because social media is out there, and we wanna make sure that we're not giving them any chance of getting by us, so we're not really putting out too much right now.
And we don't want copycats. That's the problem. We start getting copycats, it'll be kind of hard to tie them into what we already working on.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is City Council comments and reports of meetings attended. We'll start here on my right. Sorry.
You gonna start with me?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. I also attended the League of Cities, and like Miguel said, it was very good to be able to meet everybody again personally, to be with everybody face to face, and the sessions were very informative. The different sessions that they were giving us, they gave us a lot of updates on different changes that are taking place, of course, right now with the COVID. And also, but what I really like the most is the interaction that we have, that the network that we have with the different cities throughout the state of California. You know, we're all having difficulties, the challenges that we're facing. And, you know, we're able to learn from them. And once we exchange different problems that we tend to get into, we're able to be able to help each other and maybe problem solving, and you know, we learn from each other. You know, there's cities that are, of course, you know, we can't compare ourselves to the Los Angeles area, but you know, Laguna Niguel, we were so impressed that, you know, they don't have any homeless because they told us how to take care of them, you know. But anyway, so like I said, it was a very, very good event or conference. And also, I also attended the Imperial County Transportation Commissioners meeting, which they give us update, as you see, on Highway 98. They're working on it, and they're doing the best and moving forward with that project. Also on the overpass in Imperial and El Centro, the overpass on Imperial Avenue and Interstate 8, that's also moving forward. And we're also, that we're having, they're gonna be working on the border checkpoint on Highway 86, so that's quite interesting, and hopefully, you know, that'll be started and moving as well, so that way we could kind of, you know, not have so much congestion in that area as well. And I guess that's all the report that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
Before I go with my report, Rosie, what's the status with the ICTC director? Is he retired? Is he moving on?
Oh, Mr. Vasa, yes, he will be retiring. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he will be, but, you know, I don't want to announce it until it's.
Yeah, I know, I didn't want to get ahead, but I think, you know, he's a very important, you know, piece
Position.
in this whole, you know, transportation and a lot of projects that have, it's there in the pipeline. And I think we need to make sure that we continue because his leadership is surely it's going to be missed. And you know, really looking forward to hopefully when we get to that point that we have someone that, you know, can fill his shoes and continue with the projects. But I just remember that, you know.
Yeah, no, I know, and I don't want to say anything until, you know, it's publicly said.
Thank you.
No
Anyway.
worries. I think by now, Mayor Pro Tem, the news is out, so we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
No metí la pata, ¿verdad?
Ándale, pues.
Anyway, so I also attended the League of Cities. This was also my first League of Cities that I attended, and just like Miguel alluded and Rosie also alluded to the great opportunity to network with other colleagues. But aside from networking, I think it's also looking at best practices, looking at even I want to say even amongst ourselves, whether it's with other cities, valley cities, us as colleagues, of course, observing. I remember Gabby's not here, but I remember Gabby's direction, Brown Act, make sure that, So I think we had a great chance to really network and really even do some team building exercises amongst ourselves.
Yes.
And I think that reflected on, a lot of the work that was done. I think there were a lot of great sessions that, we attended, from sessions on cannabis laws, and, I was glad to see also, attorney there, because I'm gonna leave it up to him. I'm not planning to tackle that legal aspect, but I know that that was a very interesting session as well with, using social media. That's something that, when we have a forum, or when we use social media as a forum of communication, we have to make sure that we abide to those guidelines that should be applicable for people to communicate with us. So I think it's something that, we should be looking at, and we're going to be looking at. So again, a very great opportunity to network, participate, and learn best practices. Also, I had an opportunity to attend the Planning Commission meeting on the 27th. Great work by the commissioners, as always. They had on their agenda, they were discussing the housing element. I was very happy to see also a lot of participation by community members, that they actually provided feedback. It was a very engaging meeting, and that's kind of like what I want to see. Staff did an outstanding job, in conducting that meeting. So looking forward to the next steps in that process. Also, on the 30th, the mayor and other dignitaries attended the swearing-in of the new mayor from Mexicali, Norma Bustamante. It was a very nice ceremony. It was something that, again, it was a first for me. And again, wishing them the best of luck, to our neighbors. And again, hopefully, and we know that will be the first of many opportunities to work with them, to work as a region, as a sister city, and again, to a great relationship. Then also, I attended on Saturday in this chambers. The county held their redistricting meeting, which is a very important process that happens. It happens every 10 years. What this is pretty much the opportunity, as the title says, to work on the districts, on the redistricting of the 5 districts that represent our 5 board of supervisors. So this is an opportunity for us as citizens to participate and provide feedback. Again, we might see this as something that is political, but it's not. This is about who is going to represent you, who's going to be looking out for your interests, and for our community. So if you want to participate, there's still time. You can visit the website, the county website, and provide feedback. Same thing also on Monday, Imperial Valley College had the same process also. Same thing, please participate. Please provide feedback. Who and how, this process, how this process works, the districts, because a lot of times when election season comes and you don't get someone's name on your ballot, that's because you're not on the district of that individual or that candidate. So again, if you come to these meetings, if you come to these workshops, not only you will find out the process, but also you will find out, you get the opportunity to participate and provide your opinion as to how these districts should be run. So now this is the opportunity. Remember, it's only every 10 years that this happens. So please, be part of it. And the last one, the last event, last night we had a chance to go to the Centennial celebration for the adult basic education. Robert Morales. It was a very, very nice event. Other colleagues were there, but I also, I will leave them also an opportunity for them to speak on that event also. It was great. Thank you, Mayor. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Mr. Ureña?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also attended the League of Cities conference with my colleagues, Mr. Moreno, Mr. Garcia, and Mr. Hernandez. We did go on the airplane together, at least myself, Fernandez, and Garcia, y no me pegaron. Everything was good. Cordial. And we learned a lot together and as a council with each other. There's two particular sessions that I attended that caught my attention. I also attended the cannabis and social media one that Garcia and Figueroa went to, but separately. There were two sessions that caught my eye on homelessness. The first one was a legal session about the legality, how far a city can go in helping homeless people rehabilitate themselves, different legal approaches that other cities are taking to combat homelessness, like the city of Sacramento that has created a completely separate public safety department. The city of Sacramento, as of 2021, they not only have a police department, a fire department, but now they have a department of community care that does everything from preventing domestic violence to responding to suicide calls, mental health calls, as well as directly dealing with organizations that reach out to homeless people. And in another session, since we're having an ARPA discussion as a council right now, it turns out that in LA County, also 2021 this year, from their ARPA funds, they were able to create what they call a Care First Village. It's called the Hilda L. Solis Care First Village in Los Angeles from their county ARPA fund. They used $50 million of ARPA funds to take vacant shipping containers and turn it into 232 affordable housing units for previously homeless people, kind of like we did with the Holly's Hotel, but they went a little bit more innovative and had that recycling angle. I wanted to go ahead and thank Mr. Moreno, the council, and city staff for helping Jose Luis Tadeo Contreras and his large group of community members and businesses to make Festival de la Raza and all the events that will follow possible. The small business and the micro business community are very excited to see life and revenue come back to downtown. And it just seems like the community is excited that their government is facilitating organizing these events. Quería disculparme directamente con la señora Carmen Estrada, que hizo sus comentarios con su parque. I'll go ahead and translate it immediately. Quería disculparme inmediatamente porque teníamos una junta agendada para el 20 de septiembre, justamente antes de que nos fuéramos al viaje a Sacramento para la conferencia. Íbamos a platicar precisamente de esos temas, de que ustedes estuvieran invirtiendo tanto dinero en los parques y aparte se les estuviera cobrando una renta por esos mismos parques. A mí me parece excelente idea brincarnos esa junta y traerlo directamente al Cabildo para ver qué se tiene que hacer en el Código Municipal o en cualquier otra área administrativa para resolver esos problemas directamente en la próxima junta. Le extiendo otra vez esa disculpa, pero hay que traerlo a Cabildo como usted dice, porque aquí el Cabildo debería estar dispuesto a facilitar su trabajo, a hacerlo más fácil. Ustedes están conectados con una red súper grande de organizadores atléticos en toda la región. Están bien apoyados y queremos ser parte de esa energía. I wanted to extend a formal apology to Ms. Carmen Estrada. Prior to leaving to Sacramento, we had a meeting between myself, Mayor Moreno, and City Manager Figueroa to address some of the issues that she had brought up regarding the parks, specifically the issue that they were investing a lot of money into the parks and still being charged rent to use those parks. Unfortunately, we went to Sacramento, but I think it's an excellent idea to bring those issues directly to council in case we need to make some modifications to the municipal code or any administrative directives that need to be taken. And that's the extent of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Araya.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I read in the last city manager's report that city staff are helping Mr. Jose Luis Contreras and many members of the community make possible Festival Pa La Raza. To celebrate Calexico talent and help Calexico, we have more events like this downtown to make downtown a safe and clean destination once again for Calexico citizens to enjoy. I especially thank you, Mr. Figueroa, for all the support they are giving to this first event. Second, I was the only one who did not attend the conferencia in Sacramento, but I had the opportunity to attend to some situations that arose in Calexico. For example, public security, vehicle theft in our parking lot on First Street, long lines to go to Mexicali, traffic in high school and dual school, public workers unhappy about working the city streets during the day and not at night, among other issues. I want to thank the Calexico staff, Chief of Police, Director of Public Works, Liliana, and Ronnie, muy especial. Ronnie, Assistant Administrator, since they attended to me at all times and each of the requests that I made. I will as the thanks the city administrator, because even in Sacramento, he was always in contact with me. Thank you all very much for his professional work. In my opinion, I will say it again. We need more personnel and more tools to definitely work, but we also need more money in the general fund, and that it's solved with more economic development. We must move and promote Calexico anywhere. We must go out and not stay at home waiting for support. This solution is for everyone to apply in some way. Congratulations on 100 years of the Robert Morales School for Adults. Finally, I want to congratulate a la maestra Norma Bustamante por ser una nueva presidenta municipal de Mexicali. Gracias porque nos representó de una manera muy profesional el mayor y el pro tem en este evento. Estoy muy contenta. I am sure that we will work with her administration very soon. Thank you so much. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Romo. Thank you for your passion. I love that passion. First and foremost, I'd like to thank our staff for putting all this, the logistics together for attending the conference. It's a huge endeavor, a lot of work hours. Mr. Figueroa, you were very professional putting that thing together, not only from the start, but also putting up with all the a little nitpicking over there. You're very professional with that. We appreciate that. Those who attended, really like to thank you on that. And also coming back, that's how we concluded that. Mr. Campos, you were also there. Really was looking forward to working with you on the capacity. And also my cohorts here were also, I was very, very, very grateful and thankful we're finally able to meet in one room and agree on one thing, right? And the things that we shared over there. So I really look forward to the next conference. And we miss you, Ms. Romo. Hopefully next year you can be with us there. So thank you to staff again. A lot of things I gotta say, but we're gonna be short on time here real quick, but I'm gonna speed it up real quick. The first thing I wanna do is I wanna thank Carmen Estrada and Ms. Vega today. I met with them today, Mr. Ureña, kind of like piggyback that we kind of missed that, and she's here now. We met here today, here at this table for about an hour, and they did express all those concerns that later on we're gonna be talking. What I envision is a city council comes together to address those issues with the parks and how you guys are limited on those on the use of those facilities. And Mr. Ureña, if you want to join me here one time, and we can certainly work together on this, and then maybe bring it up one day to the city council and vote on it and discuss on it. So that's that. The first thing I want to say is, before I get into the conference, I did meet with the CBP counterpart, Mexico, Lieutenant Colonel, I believe it's Martinez?
Fernando Martinez.
Martinez, right? We did meet because as you know, we do have this issue with the long lines going to Mexico for all those essential workers that come from Mexico. They live in Mexicali for economic reasons, and they do have to come back over there and have to work all day, and then they have to wait in line for just to get back home. So we did address those issues, and he did tell us that locally we can do something, and I understand he did something because the next day I did put the thing into test, and I did drive to Mexicali. I do have Centro. I drive to Mexicali, and I have 12 lanes. Anybody's gone to Mexicali, you can see red and green. Usually the green, the X means they're open. So we did see six. I did see 6 of those lanes open, and it took me, 12 minutes I think it was, as opposed to it would take me an hour and 45 minutes. So hopefully that they did get the message because of our involvement there. Now we are going to meet with CBP, on this side with our counterparts to also address those concerns.
And that's actually tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. So hopefully now both sides are not doing this number, right? It's like now we're going together. And like I told them, I may not be able to do anything at the federal level, at the state level, because I'm an elected official there, but at a local level, as government, we can work together and we can address the local things that we can handle ourselves. And that way we do it by getting at the table and putting ideas together. And like I told, humbly I told the lieutenant, I need your help. Calexico needs your help. Can you please open some lanes going south? And they did. I think he did come through, Mr. Figueroa, which is pretty enlightening. Mr. Figueroa was there present with us also. He did provide a lot of information that obviously sometimes I don't have that information. And because he's in charge of operations, he does a very good job of providing that information for us so we can make a better decision. I did attend with Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Camilo Garcia. I did attend the inauguration for Don Mario Bustamante's mayorship. That was a very successful event. It's a 3-hour event. I believe we have to be present there, and I want to inform the community that it was very, very enlightening for me to see the way the government works in Mexico. Okay, 3 hours. We were there networking, passing on my business cards. I'm sure you also did the same thing. Obviously, we're new at that, but it certainly opens the door because we're a community that we share the same cultures. And one of the things that I believe in previous talks with Mayor now Bustamante is that she does see a lack of cultural awareness, and I see Ms. Durazo here because that's just on their alley. I think your hard work is going to probably not going to pay it off because you are a pillar in this community and you are 100% advocates for culture, our cultural arts in particular, and she does believe that 100%. I think we're going to be looking more into those activities so we can join forces with Mexicali and ourselves and maybe have a binational activity on one day in the near future. So congratulations for all the work you do on that, Carmen Durazo. Thank you for that. I did also, like Mr. Garcia, the Mayor Pro Tem, mentioned last night, we did attend at San Diego State University the centennial from the Adult Education Center, which was took place there. And I did read the proclamation that we did end up issuing to the director, Mr. John Moreno, our former mayor, by the way. He was there. I did spoke a couple of words on how important it is that adults somewhere in their lives can't finish school for whatever reason, and they return back to school and just the basic education that requires the necessary tools. Because as you know, knowledge empowers people, and knowledge gives you the opportunity to be a better person, especially in our community. So that was my take on that one. Now going back to the conference. Obviously, there's 3 days of conference. There was a lot of topics. One in particular I want to talk about that was very enlightening for me was when we have been talking for quite a while now with the code enforcement, now with the fires going on, how important it is to have a code enforcement program that not only facilitates the ability for the city to kind of force the owners, the property owners, to do something with the properties that we all know have been left there for decades, some of them for decades. And they become a dump tracks and they just, for crime and everything else. So bringing a program like that in Calexico, and I do have the particulars, perhaps maybe someday we can install that program that deals with also legal department. It's not a very big program. And initially, it's not a big investment. What it does, the return investment takes care of all those fires, crime, graffiti, even though we have an abatement, a city ordinance abatement program, but it surely enhances what we have already. That was very, very, very special to me. The other thing I want to really emphasize is, as your representative of Calexico, not only as a mayor, but as a delegate, a voting delegate for the California League of Cities, I, back when former Mayor Ariola Fernandez nominated, and I took that honor as the second vice president for the California League of Cities, which I'm a member there now, and I sit at the table, and I do have voting power, which I am a delegate. That day, there were 333 delegates that represent the whole state of California. Well, so why am I saying that it's important? Because as the second vice president, not only do we have voice at the table, but we have vote at the state level, because as legislation is getting worked up, eventually when it get to the governor's desk, being part of the delegate with this California League of Cities certainly does have a lot of weight in how those decisions are made when the government makes that decision. So we're over for it, and I was very, very humbled to be there. That was the last day, so it's very important that we take part in that. Now, I wasn't able to get in this time, but I am going to be seeking the presidency for that League of Cities in the near future. I wasn't able to get in this time, but I am going to seek on it, because I believe if we have representation in Imperial County. By the way, I represent San Diego County and Imperial County as the second vice president, so we do get those information as those assembly bills go through legislation and the process and all that. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully someday we represent Calexico as the president of the California League of Cities. That's all I have to say. Thank you. So now moving up to the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the City of Calexico, Council, Calexico Community Redevelopment Agency, successor agency, or Calexico Financing Authority, and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the council. So moved by Mr. Ramos. Anybody second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Fernandez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. And then we will moving on to our discussion and potential action items. As you recall, earlier in the meeting, we did table item number 9. Well, we're going to start with item number 8, which is a resolution of the City of Council of Calexico approving an intent to collaborate with S&T Capital and the Calexico Unified School District for the potential development of new commercial sites along Highway 98 corridor.
Absolutely, Mayor, members of the council, members of the community. This item is a simple resolution in which we are asking that this city council consider supporting the collaboration of working with S&T Capital Group for the purpose of looking at the future development of the corner, the future commercial development of the corner of Cloak and 98. To put things into perspective, right next to the Dollar General that got built a couple of years ago. Currently, right now, Mr. Sean Pope, who represents S&T Capital Group, is working with the Calexico Unified School District on a potential land swap to carry out this development. On our end, based on the backup information that we provided, what we are, in other words, being requested is the fact that at some point there's going to be a street abandonment that this city council has to consider. Mr. Pope has been informed that in order for that to happen, there's a process. And that process begins with a resolution from this council accepting the abandonment of a street. Then it goes to Planning Commission, then it comes back to City Council. So he has been informed of what the process is. On our end, we're protecting the city's interest, myself and the Planning and Building Services Director, by making sure that we're very clear that whenever the development occurs, there's going to have to be full compliance with CEQA requirements and with the municipal code requirements as it pertains to building. With that said, we're being supportive of this initiative to develop that commercial corner. It's going to benefit, obviously, our city coffers, and we will just want to be a partner and be supportive to move this forward. In a nutshell, that's all this resolution entails: supporting and making sure that we identify that there's a process that will be followed down the road for the street abandonment.
Thank you, Mr. Figueroa. Any discussion?
No.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve.
You make a motion for approve by Fernandez. Anybody second that?
Second.
Second by Romo. I'll go ahead and vote. Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Okay, 5-0. Thank you. Item number 10, authorize city manager to sign surface use agreement between the city of Calexico and Sonoma Technology.
I want to acknowledge our Public Works Manager, Ms. Liliana Falomir. She's been working with a contractor to the county, which is the company that you have here before you on the staff report. What we're looking to do is support the AB 17 initiative. They've been doing a lot of great work through monies that they secured through this bill at the state level. There's been a local group that's co-chaired by a local nonprofit, Comité Cívico del Valle, and by the Air Pollution Control District. It's through its director, Mr. Matt Desert, in which they are identifying sources that could potentially benefit, sources of environmental problems that we have along the Calexico, Heber, and El Centro corridor. This is a corridor that was selected to receive support through AB 617, which created this group. I am very happy to share that the city of Calexico has benefited as a result of these efforts. At this moment right now, what you have before you is the opportunity to locate an air monitor within the Calexico Public Works facility, so we can actually have, for a 6-month period only, on a temporary basis, 6 months, the ability to collect data from the emissions, the air quality emissions of the river, which will, on our end, benefit as we continue to strive to attack this issue and provide more tools on our end to go after more monies through different state programs. One of the things that I do want to be clear is that this item comes before you because this item would eliminate any liabilities and responsibilities on the city on the equipment that will be installed.
Excellent.
I'm happy to answer any comments or questions.
Excellent news.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miguel.
Excuse me?
Thank you.
Okay.
Excellent news.
The only thing I like, because I'm familiar with Comité Cívico, they've been
Yeah, I
very
know.
proactive for many, many years. And Mr. Romero, if you're listening to us and this tonight, I'd like to thank you for your proactivity with the air monitoring. I know they do have some grants that they do participate in terms of the ambient. So that's all I got to add on that. I'll make a motion to
I
approve.
have a motion to approve number 10.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carried 5-0. Item number 11, authorize city manager to file notice of completion for repair of one sewer manhole at the intersection at Pearl Avenue and 6th Street.
Yes, if we recall not too long ago, this item came before you as an emergency item. Public Works Admin Manager Falomir brought to my attention the need to address this issue as part of a project that was being done at the location of 6th and Imperial. I'm happy to share, as I've kept the City Council abreast, that the work was completed. We did not experience, fortunately, any type of issues, any type of additional setbacks to the project. It was completed, it was inspected. So what we bring for you today is just a notice of completion, as we do for any project of this nature.
Thank you, Mr. Figueroa. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, Ms. Romo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Number 12, approve letter requested modification to hours of operations at the Calexico East Port of Entry.
This has been an ongoing matter. I believe not too long ago, Supervisor Escobar brought to our attention that this is something that the county was going to be looking into. Councilman Ureña and myself were part of a meeting that's spearheaded by Supervisor Escobar, which is the Southern Border Committee, in which we have stakeholders from multiple agencies in Calexico. This was an item that was brought up. At that meeting, we agreed that we would lead the effort through the county and the city to have a letter that we could use specifically addressed to our state and federal representatives so they could actually step up and assist on this important matter. We've talked about it at length. The mayor just mentioned a meeting that we had with the new administrators of the ports in Baja California. The county was also at the table. The Mexican consulate was also at the table. So pretty much what we're seeking here is just to continue to push so we can be heard. One of the things that I do want to share is that County Supervisor Jesus Escobar is not with us. He apologizes. There was a medical procedure that he went through today that did not allow him to come, but he did want me to share with the council and the community that the county is arranging meetings with our state and federal officials that represent us in DC, so we can continue not only by submitting a letter, but also following up. I do want to share, and I want to pass on the microphone to Councilmember Ureña, because I believe he has some comments and some additional recommendations.
Can I just go ahead and make?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you for your support on this. I know you work hard really on it, and you and I share on that, the Southern Border Committee. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
What is the recommendation?
I was going to make a recommendation to council. The letter is excellent. I would just ask for 2 modifications. The first one is that we include, to make sure this letter goes to President Biden as well as Governor Newsom. It's good to send it to the legislature, but at the end of the day, the person that oversees DHS is the executive, so they need to be notified. Governor Newsom needs to be notified because this is a California issue. It affects not just our region, but the whole state, and he needs to be advocating on our behalf as one of the most vaccinated counties. And I think we need to add, the second modification is very brief paragraphs while we're communicating about the topic to say we need to open the border up for tourism yet again for the same reasons.
I have nothing. Do you have anything? No?
I have motion to
Mr. Garcia?
approve the
Sure.
recommendation.
I'll make a motion to approve with the 2 amendments I stated.
Okay.
So you make a motion to approve item number
12,
12, and
second.
in addition to include President Biden in a letter, copy, and then
And-
also Governor Newsom.
Governor Newsom, and then just a brief sentence or 2 that we're in favor of the border reopening for tourism.
Okay, all right. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Mayor, before
Yes.
we proceed, the acting clerk, you took down the motions with including the modification, correct?
Yes.
Okay. One thing, just Mayor, is what I'll do is I'll go ahead, I'll make the modifications, and more than likely tomorrow, we will be contacting each one of you because we want to make sure that we obtain wet signatures so we can get it out immediately.
Thank you.
Yes,
I got the motion by Councilmember Ureña, who did second?
Ms. Romo?
Thank you.
And that was unanimously. 5-0.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Item number 13, adopt budget amendment resolution for reallocation of resources from the City Manager Housing and Economic Development Department to the Police Department.
Mayor, members of the council, members of the community, it's needless to say, we know there are multiple needs. I want to start off by saying that there are multiple needs across the city of Calexico amongst all departments. One of the things that at least myself as the lead administrator for Calexico is that regardless of the situations that we're in, one of the things that I mention all the time to my staff, to my department heads, is that if we have a plan to address multiple needs, we will eventually cover them all. There are some opportunities that we have right now to consider. This one is just something that I, as the administrator, am recommending to the council. I understand how important and the need to have an economic development director. If anybody can attest to that, it's me. because I'm seeing the benefits right now of growing my department heads. I know the benefit that it brings to the customer service that we offer, our businesses, our community, our visitors. At this time, this is coming before you because there is a pressing need as to how we address one of the critical services to our community, and that is taking those emergency calls so we can possibly and rightfully in time deploy our police officers and our firefighters. It's been made known in recent meetings when we went through the budget process by my fire chief and my police chief, some of the issues that had to get addressed as it pertained to that particular service. So at this moment, I bring this to your attention because I believe right now, myself, through my office and the Planning and Building Services Department, can split the responsibility of the economic development operation that we need to have as a city, because it's not only going to fall in my office, it's going to be a split responsibility in which, after assessing, we're going to be able to undertake. In the meantime, while we're suited once again to go after this important recruitment for this important director level position. And with this, we would be addressing some of the common items that have been raised to your attention as a city council and to myself as an administrator. I'll be happy to address any comments or questions. I think it's a straightforward item, but then again, we understand also that there may be some items that you wish to discuss.
Okay. Anybody?
Yeah. You know, I'm really excited to see this on the agenda
Yes.
and that we're finally addressing some of those needs. And yes, you know, we plug a hole and we kind of like leave one open. But yeah, again, you know, this is great. But then also, I'm glad to hear, Miguel, that there is a plan to take on some of this important work that that is needed also. You know, that economic development, and you said it. You know, if there is someone that knows about that, it's you. I mean, that was something that it was under your, you know, direction at, you know, at some point. And I think also, in order for us to have sustainability for the future, we need to have someone in that position also, right? We need to make sure that we continue to bring revenues. And we need to make sure that, you know, some of the efforts that we started a couple of years or a few years back, you know, and you're you know, we're part of that too, you know, whether it was developing, you know, marketing material, collateral material, promoting our city, working on a plan, and you know, just like we went through our, you know, strategic planning, but then also an economic development plan. I think that's important also, because again, all this you know, services have to be somehow sustained, you know, and we need to make sure that we can continue to, you know, increase our revenues. That's the goal, you know, and you know, I'm glad to see that we're moving that direction. So if you can come back with a specific plan as to how those, you know, duties are going to be, I guess, shared between your office and planning, because it's important. I want to make sure that when someone comes into our city, that they want to speak to someone in regards to opening a business or you know, how to invest in our city, that there is someone to answer those questions. Someone who is knowledgeable, someone who's going to be able to walk them through the process, literally get them by the hand until they're operational. So that's my my way of seeing this, hopefully getting to that point sooner rather than later. So that's my contribution to that. Thank you.
Noted, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Anybody
I
else?
have a question, yeah. Miguel, the position disappear or remains in standby? I don't know, the position.
My recommendation, and this is a conversation that I had with the finance director, is that obviously once the revenues are there, this is a position that will be considered to be filled. In the meantime, while we get there, that's why I just want to be clear that we are looking at this as a temporary measure because we have a need, as we know. But also at the same time, I trust that within some of the things that are coming down the road, we will be able to have the resources needed to fill that position.
Another question. I'm sorry. Are you done, Mr. Romo?
Yeah.
Okay. The question that like you're saying is this is temporary. It's a fixing, temporary fixing. But what's going to happen along the line? They're going to stay in the position? Do you plan to somehow replace them, or are you going to try to find the fundings for them to stay on board?
I think, well, right now, what we, in a perfect scenario, what we would look is that position would have the funding needed so we could continue and carry on with the recruitment. Given the recommendation that I'm bringing forth you, at the moment, that's not going to be possible, but it's definitely and I want to highlight something here. Let's not forget that we just adopted a strategic plan. And that strategic plan identifies as a priority the economic development, promotion, and outreach of Calexico. So I am confident right now that I can make this recommendation, that the duty will be able to be performed in conjunction by my office and the planning and building department for now, because we're not going to drop the ball. We're going to keep moving forward. An example of that is the previous item that I just brought to your attention. But yes, former Mayor Fernandez, we want to make sure that once the resources are there, we're definitely going to revisit this matter.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I just want to go back to something that also Councilman Ureña has been asking, at least on the last couple of meetings, on revisiting and reviewing some of the contracts, some of the contracts that we have, and hopefully, finding some monies. And then also, I know we just adopted our budget, going back, because as we said, that is a living document. So we have to look at, everything that is funded, everything that is unfunded, and see how we can, just like the way that we're moving some of these monies to meet some of those needs that we have and immediate needs. And, maybe there might be some other opportunities. So, but that's something that, I'm willing to help with that, look into that. I don't know if someone else, someone of my colleagues also want to join that effort, so we can work with you and find other ways where we can maybe assist and find other ways to meet some of these needs.
I think right now, Mayor Pro Tem, that's a great point, and I think we have the opportunity right now with some of the relief monies from the state, which is through the Housing and Community Development Community Block Grant monies, and the ARPA monies, obviously. But I do want to say, and that is a conversation that I had with staff, is let's not forget that those monies already have been, specifically the state ones. I want to focus on the state monies. Those are the monies that are going to provide some relief to some of the needs to my other departments, okay? And there's been applications that are being vetted, and 2 out of the 3 have been approved by the state. I'm waiting for confirmation on the 3rd one that are gonna immediately provide some support to some of the needs of other departments in the city. So I agree with you, Mayor Pro Tem. I think right now it's a matter of being creative and making the best use of these opportunities to address the other needs. That's why I wanted to be clear. There are multiple needs, and we're figuring out ways how to get to them.
So Figueroa, just to piggyback on Mr. Garcia's comment, also on reinforce Mr. Ureña's comment, the state just released the RFP for the community block programs. You're referring to the ones available now?
So we've gone through the process. So rounds 2 and 3 of the CDBG money are the ones that already have been vetted, and this council has provided me direction as to where those monies are going to go. And right now it's just the process of me waiting for the state to give me the final blessing so we can initiate the work with that money here at the city level with staff.
All right, so we won't miss that opportunity. But I'm willing to work with you, Mr. Garcia, if you allow me to work with you on this, help you with Mr. Figueroa's. Certainly, I'm willing to put in my time on that.
One of the things that I will ask the council for your support is helping me and my staff do the outreach in educating our community, not only our residents, but our businesses, about these opportunities that are going to be for them.
Yeah.
Right? So I think we can huddle up and I can have individual meetings as to how we can accomplish that.
And maybe that's a start. That's a start. It doesn't have to be 2-on-1 or,
Yeah.
Starting a 1-on-1. And I think all of us have a different, perspective, different take on things, just like we've done it in the past. I think, that's something that has to be done, and the sooner the better. But this is great. This is a step in the right direction. I really applaud, and with that, I move for approval.
All right, thank you. Motion to approve. Anybody second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Reina.
Oh.
I'm sorry?
Second. What?
Oh,
No, that's okay.
No,
Doesn't
no,
matter.
okay, sorry about that. All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Motion carried 5-0. Item number 14, adopt a resolution of the City Council of the Calexico, City of Calexico approving the city's use of American Rescue Plan funds.
Yes, I want to handle this item as a follow-up item, as an item that stems from the presentation that Finance Director Lovatos gave at the last meeting, in which we agreed that we would be bringing this to your attention. It was discussed as part of the presentation. What we're looking at here is using ARPA money for an allowable use for fleet replacement for public safety. We've identified the needs for both fire and for both the police department. And for the record, I want to say that it does not address everything that we need to fix, but it's definitely going to be a huge, huge support in the right direction, so we can properly equip our employees at both departments so they can conduct their work. This is a similar example of what I just shared, in which we're using monies, relief monies, to address some of the things in the various departments. With that said, one of the things that I committed to was making sure that whatever items related to ARPA this council took action on, that it passed the test of an audit, which we eventually are going to get down the road. One of the things that I think we take a lot of pride on is, and one of the recommendations that I make to the finance director, is that we make sure that we take careful notice on the ARPA guidelines to make sure that we follow every single thing. With that said, that is why before you have a resolution that's going to do two things. It's going to approve the funding for the fleet replacement, but it's also going to approve the issuance of a request for proposals, because that is something that's key as it pertains to how we use ARPA monies. We want to make sure that we show that we follow the proper procurement process. And on our end, we're comfortable bringing this to you as a recommendation because we accomplished that. With that said, I want to call out Police Chief Gerardo on one matter, because there has been some recommendations by Councilman Ureña that he has made public in past meetings pertaining to the consideration of hybrid vehicles, which are vehicles that save fuel, obviously. So, Chief, can you please bring that up?
So when Mr. Figueroa asked me to look at it, it's not out of the out of the question. We will look at that too, and look at other means to see if we got to make sure that it's feasible for the city, cost-wise too, because hybrid vehicles are a little bit more expensive, and we got to look at all the areas too. If any other departments here have them, including the California Highway Patrol and other agencies, if it's worth our time and money to have hybrid vehicles. I know that it's a lot of agencies have them, but we got to look at our geographical area and our weather and all, get all those factors in, and to see also if the dealerships that are going to be servicing these vehicles, if they have the capabilities of doing a quick turnaround when it comes to servicing and fixing these vehicles too.
Thank you.
Just a very brief
Go
comment.
ahead, Mr.
Yeah, I'm definitely all in favor for the replacement of public safety vehicles with ARPA money. I think that's the first thing that needs to get out of the way. Very good investment. Touching on the hybrid vehicles, I would like for council, at least in this stage in the procurement process, to give the request for proposal that flexibility to consider the hybrid vehicles. I did take into account what Chief Gerardo had said about the hybrid vehicles, that there was an existing recall for them already for the 2020 model. It's something to do with the water pump. It didn't seem to be too major, but like Chief Gerardo said, we do need to see how these vehicles have worked for other agencies. The big cost-saving analysis that comes out of the hybrid vehicles is that since police vehicles are often, not turned off because they're emergency vehicles, the computer needs to be turned on, they need to be connected to the 5G and everything, they spend a lot of time idling, right? So when you have a hybrid vehicle that keeps all of that equipment on without the gas engine running, it totals up to 1,300 gallons per year per vehicle in terms of fuel savings. You multiply that by $4 a gallon, you're talking about $4,000 to $5,000 a year per vehicle and money saved for the city, right? Over a 10-year period, that's almost $250,000. As long as the vehicle is reliable, I think we should look forward to it, but I definitely trust the judgment of Figueroa and Gerardo to see if that's feasible.
We will definitely consider that, Councilwoman Ureña.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do you have anything? No?
I have more of a technical question. So we're approving, if this passes, of course, also the invitation for bids also on this item. What's the timeline again on this? I see that there is a date for submission, but when can we see that we will have the patrol cars in our streets, because we need them as soon as possible. But I understand that Chief also had said before that there is a time when this get built.
90 days.
So I came, and we just it's a perfect question because we just were informed that the 4 cars that we purchased, or 3 cars we purchased, 3 or 4, I forgot. We're going to get them in November 24th. From there, they go to get outfitted. So I look at it, it was like a 6-month turnaround.
Okay.
So right now, they're giving public safety priority on the bills on the vehicles. So we have 3 weeks. If it goes out, if this passes, goes out, so we have 3 weeks. We receive the bids, we award the bids, we bring them to you. The council meeting, hopefully we can get it in the agenda following it for approval. And then it will take approximately about 5 to 6 months to start getting our vehicles in. We're hoping that we're able to get them in quick, because it's right now is the time to order your cars for next year. So it's whoever orders first and they get in line. When I found out, they called me and said we have VIN numbers assigned, or the VIN assigned. Yeah. It was good news because we know they were on the production line already. So hopefully, this will be quick, and we'll start seeing these vehicles coming in.
If the timeline stays as through the previous procurement process that we went through, we would be targeting having an item before you in December as it pertains to the award of the procurement process to whomever that is. From there, if we do quick math, and if everything goes as we expect, you could be looking at an early summer date where we would be having the vehicles.
Also, just that does not include also bring them here, and then you actually got to retrofit them for all the equipment that include on that, which is right.
Yes, and I just said that the plus side of this is this, that we started receiving the radios from a radio purchase already. So we're not gonna have to wait to get those radios in. So that's one of the biggest waits when we build is the radios, because they have to get programmed. And so airwave communication already started receiving our radios. And so that alone cuts like 4 to 6 weeks time to get our radios, and we'll have our radios ready. That's the biggest item there. And then, of course, the light bars and everything, but the radio has always been what delays a build on a vehicle.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. They're not dealing with the same issues, the fire department, with the vehicles and?
No, that's
They're a little bit different, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, you know what, thank you, Chief, thank you, both Chiefs, Gerardo and Fabiola, thank you, because it was long overdue. I think, you know, having a police force that's very equipped, modernized, obviously, you know, we'd like to thank you for your patience, but moving forward, hopefully we get this thing done soon.
And to get an item from one meeting to the next,
Right.
it's a group effort. It's a group effort from the departments at hand. It's a group effort from the finance department, from my staff, Ms. Luna, who I want to say is our acting city clerk tonight.
Yeah.
She's always stepping up and helping me out with whatever we need. And obviously our city clerk, Ms. Gabby Garcia. So it was a team effort to have everything ready for you guys tonight. So
Thank you. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve item 14.
Second.
Second, Mrs. Rojo, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr.
Thank
Mayor,
you.
Mr.
Yes.
Mayor, is this with consideration of hybrid vehicles or without your motion?
Did you want to consider that? Did you want to, because I know you had mentioned
yes,
that.
I had, so yes. We're taking it down as to this motion, including the consideration that I will include that was brought up by you, Councilman Ure.
Sounds
Yes.
good. Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Informational items, item number 15, programs for recreational and social activities.
Ms. Gerardo, could you please come to the podium and just share with us a little about the item that was requested by Councilwoman Romo at our last meeting, please, that you prepared for us?
Good evening, honorable council members.
Good evening.
In front of you, you have an informational item for programs for recreation and social activities. In the report, you can see all the programs that are being offered at the Recreation Center or at the Carmen Durazo Cultural Arts Center. Having a conversation over the phone a few hours ago with one of the council members, I learned that a little more in-depth report was what was wished for. So, trying to be brief here and provide you with some information. Your recreation department is in charge of providing youth, adult, and senior services programs, both at the community center and at the Carmen Durazo Cultural Arts Center. We currently have 14 programs at the community center, 6 of them being senior activities. And we also have 13 classes at the Carmen Durazo Cultural Arts Center, 5 of them being senior activities. This is in addition to special events, presentations, and workshops that we have at both places. At this point, I want to thank my staff, first of all, because without them, nothing would be done. So I want to thank each one of my staff members for the hard work they do. I also want to take a moment to thank the Calexico Arts Council for their support, the general support that provides those programs at the Carmen Durazo Cultural Arts Center. They're the ones who sponsor the activities, and that is the reason why those activities are completely free to the public. Knowing that Ms. Durazo, president of the Calexico Arts Council, is here, I want to mention her. And Ms. Durazo, we appreciate your generous support and your leadership. It's very appreciative. You have a passion for the arts and you want the community to take advantage of them. So thank you very much. My department does much more because of the Calexico Arts Council support. Now, also in charge, in our department, we're also in charge of distribution of the fields to sport activities, to sport groups. We do park reservations, hall reservations for private use, That would be the community center hall, the senior hall, and also the Carmen Durazo Cultural Arts Center. During non-COVID times, we also do open gym sessions. We use the 9th grade academy to host them. We do basketball clinics, volleyball clinics through our sports coordinator, Jamie Chu, and temporary staff. Right now during COVID, we're not using the school district's facilities. We're using the community center. We also collaborate with other agencies, and that is just to increment on the programs that we're able to support. We have collaboration with Catholic Charities. They do El Comedor, which provides hot meals to senior citizens. We have collaboration with the Consulado Mexicano through Ventanillas de Salud. They provide presentations. That is for physical, mental, and financial well-being of our senior citizens as well. We collaborate with Imperial Valley College. They provide a health and wellness class at the community center for senior citizens as well. As explained before, we collaborate with the Calexico Arts Council. They provide sponsorship for arts activities at the Carmen Durazo Cultural Arts Center. We recently started collaborating with the Starts with Arts Foundation. It's a nonprofit art organization. They're doing right now an altruistic effort with our youth, teenagers. They are doing customization of tennis shoes. And after the teenagers are done customizing those shoes, they get donated to specific people in need. We are about to close the first program. It's our first program with the Starts with Arts Foundation next Tuesday. That's when we finish with our first collaboration together. And currently, we're in conversation with the San Diego State University. We're looking into providing a space for their dance group to have practices. I want to mention that on Tuesday, October 12th, this is next Tuesday, we have Barrio Frontera. This is a documentary photo exhibit, and it will be about the Cholo culture, talking about Dia de la Raza just a few minutes ago. And this is an art exhibit that is brought from Mexicali, right now that our mayor was talking about possible binational collaboration in the arts. This is going to be on October 12th at the Carmen Durazo Cultural Arts Center, 5:30 to 8. The public and you yourselves are invited to that. I would be happy to entertain any questions that you guys have at this point.
Norma, I just want to say kudos to the work that you and your team, and along with the other partners, the Arts Council and everybody, you guys do an outstanding job. I've had the pleasure to attend a few of the events, so most of the events, that you guys have put on recently, and I got to tell you that they're great, and I'm really truly looking forward to. And in fact, I had it like right here. I know you were going to mention it, but I had it right here. Make sure that we actually spoke about this event coming up. I know that you guys are excited about this Barrio Frontera. There's going to be a great, exhibits of art. Lowriders also, it is my understanding that the street's going to be closed. Right. So, something that the public can come out, and should come out. I know that for that, 16 de Septiembre celebration, we had quite a bit of turnout. Lots of people came out, very festive. Very festive. I was very happy to see that. So I'm really looking forward to this. And then also in your report or your backup, you also have something that you did also last year, which was Letters to Santa.
Correct.
So if you can speak on that, I guess we're not having a Christmas parade. I don't mean to, but if you can speak on that, yeah. So.
So Letters to Santa was created last year because we didn't have a Christmas parade. Our rec staff sat down and put their thinking hats together. We wanted to provide something for the community that was festive. And the safest way to accomplish that was a drive-through. And with the help of volunteers, some of them are here in this room, we were able to have Santa, and we had collaboration from the police department, the fire department. It was a collaborative effort. It was great. It was a great turnout. We had a line of cars. I believe we started at 6 p.m. We had cars starting at 4:30 p.m. lined up to see Santa. So it was a small event that was put together within a month. And hopefully, if there's not going to be a parade, I would like to do it again this year and offer that to the community for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then also, I know that the fire department did an outstanding job by going throughout the city, Santa, so that was also in the middle of what we were going through with the health emergency, but that brought a lot of happiness to our residents, not just our children, but our residents. So again, hopefully, if we don't get to have a parade, we can just plan something. I know that you guys are creative. I know
We
we're
will
still going through
definitely
difficult
start
times.
calling the North Pole for Santa to be here.
Yeah. So really looking forward to, some of that and seeing that happiness and, in our
Absolutely.
residents. So thank you.
No problem. Also for Halloween, we're having our first outdoor dance. So I'm sure our senior citizens will be very happy to put on a costume and be out there. It's going to be at the parking lot at the senior hall. That's coming up on October 29th. You should see a flyer shortly at the end of
Okay,
this week.
great. So let's put our dancing shoes and, let's go there.
Yes.
All right.
So you're looking for a volunteer for Santa?
Yes.
I did it last year.
No, you didn't have to say that.
No, it wasn't you.
Mayor Pro Tem, right?
Santa was reserved from the North Pole, remember?
Right, exactly, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well,
Any other-
thank you, Norma. I know you do a lot of work. Just by looking at your back, your information, that's a lot of activity. I don't even know how you put it together, but anyways, and I know Carmen Durazo, you do help a lot with that too. Thank you. But it's a great effort. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question, please.
And to all the commissioners, remember Ms. Durazo, Jimmy Duron, Betty Nunez, Ms. Fletes, all that, commissioners, that help in putting these events together. Thank you and kudos to you too also.
The good news is, Mr. Carmen Durazo, could you tell us about our next historical book about Calexico, please? ¿Es possible? Sure. Aprovecho su presencia.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council.
Good evening.
Mr. City Manager. Thank you for your kind words, Norma. It does take a village, and I appreciate your efforts in keeping that center going. I appreciate all the teachers that we are paying for from the nonprofit that are teaching the classes. We're providing for materials and supplies, as well as for the programs. For this Cholo exhibit, we provided for the frames for the exhibit that's going to be there. So anything that's requested, we do our best. We just ordered at Norma's request ballet bars, about close to $3,000. Ballet bars and plexiglass mirrors for the Cultural Arts Center for the dancers to see themselves while they're dancing. And so that's our mission, is to help in any way we can the Cultural Arts Center. And I have a dynamic board that helps and supports us. Thank you for mentioning them. As far as the history book goes, I have a guideline where I didn't want to start until I was close to $10,000. The Calexico Arts Council was asked because the Calexico Arts and Historical Commission did not proceed, and we haven't had a meeting. We had one training, but we haven't had the other two yet. So we haven't met in quite a while, but at Mr. Figueroa's request, we did take over the historical book of Calexico. Thank you, Mr. Figueroa, for your suggestion. And it does take a village. So I want to thank the IID director, Javier Gonzalez, who has through his form, there's some monies that are available to give to nonprofits for the valley. Javier is giving us $5,000 from the IID. Norma Sierra Galindo, $2,000. Today, I just heard unofficially, I haven't checked, call the county clerk. Thank you to Jesus Escobar for $1,000 and Ray Castillo for $1,000. So that gets us to $9,000. So I feel that we're getting close to the $10,000, and at that point we're probably ready to move forward, as you like to say, moving forward, right? And get the call. We're going to do our business plan, get the call to action out, call for authors. We want the very best author, and it's the same proposal that we presented. It's in your minutes for the Calexico Arts and Historical Commission, except instead of the commission, it will say Calexico Arts Council. Okay, very clear, very transparent. We want to select the very best, so we will advertise, and thank you, Mr. Figueroa, for saying we could advertise on the city webpage. And we want to get the word out so that people can apply. We want to have exactly what was requested, copies, samples of their works. We want a qualified historian who has done research as well. We want a real book of the history of Calexico and its beginnings. I don't care if it's in Spanish, I don't care if it's in English. We want the resumes, and we will select, meaning the Calexico Arts Council, will select the best one that we feel will do the job. It's up to them to have an interview after they send us all of these things electronically. It's up to us to interview them, either through Zoom, because we provide Zoom at the Cultural Arts Center, and then we will select the best one, and we will ask for your support. If you find any monies you have anywhere, we would appreciate it, so that you could be a sponsor along with these other sponsors we have on our book. We've never had a book on the history of Calexico, and that's why it's so important. And we will keep you posted. I'd be glad to come to the meetings and keep you posted on our progress, because this affects all of our city. We want 2 editions. We want something that's affordable, one in English and one in Spanish, because of the community in which we live. We don't want a $100 or $200 expensive leather-bound book. We want about $25 is my guesstimate, but we're relying on the writer that's chosen to give us the timeline to produce it, as well as the cost. And hopefully, I would love to have it by our next anniversary, but I don't know for sure until we go through the process. And that's the update on the book of the history of Calexico. Any questions?
Ms. Durazo,
Yes.
just a brief question / comment.
Of course.
Myself and Mr. Garcia, talking about the book, have had a concern, but also a suggestion on how we can include the indigenous history and indigenous perspective from them directly in the book of Calexico, from the local tribes.
Our original proposal to the Arts and Historical Commission included the clause inclusivity and diversity. So where did we start? The land, with no people in here. And then we have the indigenous cultures. We have to celebrate all the cultures. We have the canals. We know about Rockwood, Pollen, Dual, you know, but where are the other cultures, you know, from other, you know, and I could go on and on telling you how people from other cultures have reached out to me, but it speaks too long right now. But we want to include all the cultures. And this would be a series of 3 to 4 books, if the funding permits. But this will be called The Beginnings, and it'll be the vision of the author who will present to us what that vision is. Not a big old fat book. We want something that's readable, that students can look at in the schools, etc.
Yeah.
So probably paperback, okay, to keep it affordable. But I'm very interested
Carmen,
in anything you have.
the
Yes.
book that was written, remember the writer from Calexico? There was maybe a couple, 3 years ago, he came down and they saw the book, do you recall? You know,
No, it's this one.
I have to look into it, but ask Jimmy, and he might be able to remember and help you
Jimmy
with that.
Dorantes sold a book that
Excuse
he
me?
published, but it wasn't about the history of Calexico, the early beginnings.
There was a writer. The writer was from Calexico, and they had they interviewed. There was different people that had statements of things that went on in Calexico. You don't recall that?
No,
You know,
there
I
was a
can't
book
think of
that
the
was
name
written,
right
there
now.
was a narrative of shorts, it was narratives of when they were teenagers that
Yeah.
happened in Calexico. Contemporary, we're going to the early beginnings or roots, there's no such thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's why he was asking about the indigenous cultures.
Oh, okay.
Very beginning, a real history book by a historian who's a researcher,
that's what we're
has
talking
been
about.
tried and proven, and we trust that person to give us a book that will be worth the quality of a book that we need in Calexico. Any other questions from the council?
We need for $10,000 more. No?
Yeah, I'm my
Again?
uneducated guess, because I'm not a professional writer, is about $20,000 at least.
Okay.
If not more. We all know costs are going up, and we're asking for collaboration as we move on.
Thank you.
The first step is to get the word out, advertise, select a writer, and then move from there. We want people to collaborate in many ways.
Thank you for all.
Thank you so
Ms.
much.
Durazo, I'd like to take the opportunity to, I would certainly donate you $100. I think Mr. Garcia would also do the same, and I would
Thank
challenge
you.
my constituents to do this, if we can.
Thank you,
at
that would
this
be
point.
wonderful.
I don't
And it's
know.
tax deductible. It's to the Calexico Arts Council.
Mr. Moreno, on that end, if you wish, we can have a conversation
Right.
on that, and then I can officially notify Ms. Durazo
Yeah.
of what that would represent, so she can add it to her list of sponsors, so.
Thank you
Right,
so
I mean, I don't
much.
want to put anybody on the spot, right? It's not about that, it's about,
Right.
I'm willing to make that
Sure.
gesture with Mr. Garcia here.
And I'm always available by phone if you have any
Right, I think you're doing
questions.
a great job with that. Hopefully, you succeed in your work and your book.
It's on my bucket list. I wanted it since
Sure.
our 100th anniversary, and it's not there. Okay, so we're
Okay.
committed.
Thank you, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
I have a question, Miguel,
Yes.
for you. The website, the recreation department need more work, especially in Spanish. ¿Qué vas a hacer?
Absolutely, that is, if that is a request, I can absolutely look into it and come up with options as to how we can address it.
Norma need very... ¿Qué tienes en la web, Norma?
¿En la web?
Ajá. En la web, en Spanish nothing, ¿no?
No, it's not developed.
Nothing. Okay.
We can
Nothing.
look into that. We can definitely
Yes.
look into that, Ms. Romo.
Okay. Thank you, that's it.
Norma, thank you very much.
Thank you, good night.
Norma.
Thank you, Norma.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item is future agenda items. I have a couple I'll start with. I'd like to get an update on the bid. I know that there's some particulars with that, Mr. Figueroa, but that's working itself through the process and all that. Just to get an update, especially we're looking towards doing some projects downtown with the with district, downtown district on that. And perhaps we could probably, hopefully that the things with the trailers get resolved by then. If we do have something, an update by that next council meeting, perhaps. Maybe
We
bring
can
that
look
up.
into that, yes.
Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
I'll second those requests for sure.
Okay, future agenda?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Miguel, what happened to the trainings that were given to the commissions?
Carlos, do you mind giving us an update on where we stand to complete those?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I know we're waiting for the ordinances that were going to be adopted by the city council because there's an ordinance being drafted talking of streamlining some of the provisions on commissions, and then some of the provisions also dealt with some of those specifics in the specific to each individual
As it
commission.
pertains to the trainings, were those completed, or are there any trainings pending?
Yes, there's attorneys pending adoption of that ordinance after that.
I think that's what Ms. Romo was alluding to.
Correct.
I think if trainings need to be performed so we can move on and start engaging the commissions, what I can do, Ms. Romo, on Monday, I will sit down with City Clerk Garcia,
Okay.
given that's something that she spearheads, so we can put together a timeline that we can convey.
Okay.
Myself to you, and if needed, in a public setting.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Please, it's very important. And for the next meeting, present, Miguel, a report for all commissions that we had. That's it. Report in general,
Understood.
for all commissions.
Understood.
Okay, that's it.
I did have a couple items, but I had a question for Figueroa on what would be the best way to agendize them? Specifically on the contracts that we're wanting to revisit. Like, for example, you had a reallocation of resources from city manager to the police department. When it comes to private contracts, for example, Spectrum, right?
Okay.
If we want to reallocate those resources, say, to the city clerk's department, do we agendize the cancellation of that item first? How do we make that analysis? If it has to be a private provider, is there cancellation, then reallocation, then request for proposal? How does that work?
Okay, it's two separate things. Anytime we have a binding agreement with any service provider, regardless of who it is, if it's a land agreement, whatever it is, obviously all documents have clauses that we can exercise depending on the need. It would be an item to rescind, to step away, or to cancel any agreement that we may have that we as a city have recourse to do. Obviously with the proper noticing to whomever's going to be affected per the agreement that has been executed. So one, we first need to determine the agreement, what it states, so we know what action we can take. That's number one. Hypothetically, if you are to free up money that currently right now is coming in as revenue, and if that money is to be destined somewhere, there is a fiduciary responsibility that we have to formally modify the budget.
Okay.
Normally what we tend to do is that's why we have our quarterly reports. Because in those quarterly reports, the finance director comes back to us and the council and she shares with us, you know something, this quarter this happened, and as a result of that, because the city manager is requesting, because there was a request of an approved item by the city council, that is where we adjust our budget. We also have budget amendment resolutions that do not need to wait for a quarterly report to come in. So, two-phased approach. We first analyze the obligation that the city has to fulfill any agreement. From there, we determine what steps we need to take legally. And after that, there's a determination that needs to be worked on with the finance department.
Okay, and just to be very clear, during this process, when we switch service provider pretty much, in the cancellation and request and for proposal and all that stuff, there's a way for it to be canceled, us to be covered up until we get that new service? Or how does that work? How does it become seamless?
All those things are items that we need to look into, because it's going to be a twofold approach. If we're going to shy away from a service, and if it's a service that we are either mandated or obligated to provide, I need to make sure that I come up with the option as to how I'm going to remedy that, right? So it happens simultaneously.
Excellent. Okay, so I'll go ahead and present the items I wanted to propose. For us to start with that first step analysis on Spectrum, the first step analysis on the phone providers, potentially to switch over to voice over IP. Separately from the contracts, with the farm worker service center, the orthopedic clinic, and the trailers, I think we're getting into, at this point, talking about properties, and on the trailer side, talking about some funding that we need to install the trailers. I think those, at this point, for them to move forward, they do need to come to council as discussion and action items, so we can remedy those three things. What's going to happen to the orthopedic clinic, farm worker center, so we can share our ideas and resources, and the trailer, so we can decide land and where we're going to get the money to to install those trailers. Those are for council, and then separately, I wanted to make a request to Mayor Moreno. If for the next meeting, we're going to have LGBT Pride locally here on October 9th. A Calexican did win the first prize for the talent search competition this year. If we could recognize Marco Antonio Lopez for October 20th in the next meeting.
Okay. And just, yeah, thank you. Just to piggyback on this,
Second.
this is more like a legal question for Mr. Campos. Where do we, as a city council or the city in general, since these are potentially taxpayers' money that we're supposed to be taking care of, where do we get that authority to either make those changes within the budget or anything for that matter with contracts and everything else? Where does that, in the municipal code, the city ordinance, where does that power come from?
Regarding the contracts, we first will start with the contract itself, look at the language and see what's there. As council, you do have authority. Obviously, certain authority is vested within the city manager, and other authority with city council, so we may have to bring that back. Especially if it's something the authority has not been provided, and even if we look at a contract, if we don't have a contract to terminate it or amend it administratively, then we would have to come back to the city council to do so.
So in terms of legality, ramifications, you as a council look into it, but in terms of voting for it or approving, we discuss and vote on it. And then we approve it
Potentially,
separately.
unless when you initially approved it, you delegated authority already. If that was not done, then yes, we would have to come back to city council
Right.
for that.
Thank you.
For the record, I think Ms. Romo seconded my proposal.
Second, and second too. Mayor, I forget something, excuse me, Miguel. What happened with the request to the Banco de America to put el shadow on the ATMs? What happened?
That's an item that's being worked on that will come before you.
You remember, Rosie?
Yes, it was discussed.
Uh-huh.
This is an item that's going to come before you, so the council officially, as we've done with other items, can take a stand that we will use to push this item forward.
We need one letter or?
Yes, that will come before you.
Okay.
Yes.
This is something that we
Yeah,
have
I remember
been asking
for
for
the
the
request
last
for Rosie.
year or so.
Uh-huh,
Even
I
when
know.
we had the representative from San Diego, he said he was gonna work on it and he never followed through. And then not only that, I don't know what issue is happening with Bank of America, it was closed last week, wasn't it? The El Centro one.
Oh, the branch? I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, so we don't know
Oh,
what's.
okay.
All right, anything else from this side? No?
Yeah,
Mr.
I
Yeah.
do have, just to piggyback on what Councilman Arena was talking about contracts. So I do echo that also, but I just want to make sure, Miguel, on following the legalities, and we have our attorney here, because yes, Councilman Arena has been asking for, evaluation of those, that and other contracts too. So, I just want to make sure that, again, we follow the legal, so that way we don't get ourselves into any type of issues. But then also, before we get into doing away with the service, make sure that we have another service that will replace what we have. And hopefully something that is better, is transparent, it's accessible, it's user-friendly. And that's not to say that what we have is not. But, I think that takeaway here is that we want to actually have better services, better access. And I hope that, the next step is reflecting that, and hopefully if we decide to move forward with a new provider of services, that is taken into account. So that's on that. Then also, I did forget something very important. My apologies, but I do want to congratulate and kudos again to, our employees. Last week while driving home, I did see that issue that we had on Blair, on the, that line, water line that, broke, and they were out there. So I was very proud to see them out there working. I was there for a little while, kind of like watching from afar. But I know that they were there for quite a while, working late at night and early in the morning until they took care of that issue. So thank you, Ms. Palomir. Please convey that to all that individuals, all the employees, great job as always, and that's what makes a difference, and that's what citizens are very happy to see. So, looking forward to, again, that great work. And with that also, I just want to get an update on the Heber Park. I mean, excuse me, not Heber Park, Cordova Park. I know that, not just the bathrooms, but the fields. I know that we were shooting for a maybe October, November opening of the fields, some sort of opening, right? So, and that seed was going to be planted in a grass seed, and hopefully making those fields available for our community. So if I can get an update on that, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll follow up with each one of you on your request so we can properly agendize them for the next meeting.
Thank you.
We're done? Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second that?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.